footballexclusives.co.uk. Follow us on Twitter.
We've got Michael Owen, Alan Shearer, as Paul said earlier, two absolute legends who have spent their whole career wearing the Speciali. Alan, to you first. Are there any goals that stand out in your mind while you're wearing the boot?
All 525 of them actually. But, I think the first one is the most important. I think certainly for your country. I was lucky enough to do that at age 20 while I was still down at Southampton. Lucky enough to score on my debut against France, and it's something that you'll never ever forget. Yes, you score a few goals after that, but certainly the first one for your country is one that you'll never ever forget. Certainly I didn't anyway.
Great, and you're still Premier League top goal scorer of all time. Is there anyone out there that you reckon is going to catch your record?
I think Wayne Rooney might have a chance if he continues in the vein of form that he's in. I'm a huge admirer of his, great player. He's certainly scored more goals over the last 3 or 4 years when he's probably been in the position that he wants to be in. I think when he first went to Manchester, he was asked to play left, right, and he'd done it very well. But I think he's now grown used to the centre forward position. And of course, when you play in that position, whether you like it or not, you're judged on goals and how many you score. If you don't score goals, then you're not judged as a very good centre forward, and that's the world that we live in.
No, that's great, thanks. Yeah, I agree, Michael. Wayne Rooney is top class and top draw. And how many goals is he on now? He's on a couple of hundred now, isn't he? It's past Michael's. You named one of your horses after the boot. Any reason for that, or is it just because you enjoyed scoring goals?
Yeah, well, as everyone knows, I have got a passion for horses, and it's quite hard when you've got a few to think of good names. And at the time, I come back from the France '98 World Cup, and we got 3 horses, and we call one of them Etienne Lady, obviously having played in St Etienne, scored against Argentina in the stadium, and one of the others was called Speciali after the boots I was wearing in the game. So obviously he was the only horse that never won out of the 3. But that's not to say the boots weren't any good. So, but yeah, it was. They certainly had a place obviously in my heart after that, and we named a lovely horse that's still in our field at home. A lot of the kids ride and everything else, so it's great.
Special horse, special in memory. And have you got any tips for any? I'm not really a horse racing man, but I've heard that your horse has been doing well this recent season. You got any tips for the guys out there?
Well, yeah, not to back horses really is probably the best. Yeah, we've had a good start to the season. We had a good last year. We came second in the St Ledger and 2 Royal Ascot winners, which was great. And the season's just sort of closed at the minute, so it's starting up again on the all-weather, and we'll have horse out there. We've got a lot of footballers that own horses with us as well, the likes of Woodgate and a few of the Man United lads. So Alan owned horses a few years ago with us as well. So it's a passion of mine that I like outside the football arena, and something that sort of takes your mind off your job.
And going back to football, you've scored hundreds of goals. Is it like, Alan, is it your first international goal that sticks out in your mind, or are there any others that kind of pose a highlight in your career?
Well, I think everyone will have goals that they rate higher than others, and not for maybe the skill of it, but just the importance of it. So, of course, I remember the first international goal. I remember my first sort of career goal in the Liverpool first team. But if you press me, I'd probably say that obviously the most important goal for me, or one that most people talk about, was that goal against Argentina. So that would be the one that sticks in my mind.
Cool, yeah, no, that goal sticks in my mind as well. I think I shed a tear after that game. Pretty special to me. Alan, is there anything about the Speciali that kind of stood out against any other boot that made you feel comfortable scoring so many goals in it?
Yeah, the thing for me is that they were played. I think particularly nowadays you see a lot of players when colourful boots and what have you, but I think you've got to be some player to wear yellow boots or green boots or something like that. So it was always for me the more plain they were, then the better they were. But obviously you have to feel comfortable in them. It's hard enough going out onto a pitch. You're under enough pressure anyway, but worrying about whether you're comfortable in the boot is something you can do without. So knowing and trusting it and being happy and comfortable in it is the most important thing. And ever since I started wearing them at Southampton, it was a 17 or 18-year-old kid. I've worn them ever since and never had any problems with them. So for me, they're playing, but they do their job very, very well, and that has to be.
For me, it's kind of interesting to find out what players, past and present, that kind of raise your eyebrow. You're both legends yourself. Who do you consider to be legends?
Well, my hero was when I was growing up in Newcastle. Was just when Kevin Keegan signed for Newcastle as a player. So I was 10, 11, 12-year-old, something like that. So he was very influential over me. He was my hero when I was a kid. Obviously, I was lucky enough to go back to Newcastle with him as manager, and also with him as England manager. So to work and play with your heroes is kind of strange, really. I'm a huge admirer now of Rooney. I think he has everything. He can score spectacular goals. He can score tap-ins. I like his attitude. Yes, he gets carried away and steps over the mark at times, but that's him. I don't think you're ever going to change that. You have to take the rough with a smooth with him. But I think he's a fantastic player with a great attitude.
And the same to you, Michael. Any legends in your book?
Well, yeah, there's plenty of top players out there. There's obviously two in Spain that everyone holds in the highest regard. Two of the best players, probably, to play the game, and Ronaldo and Messi at the minute. We're probably privileged to have players like that in our lifetime in many ways. And then, as Alan said, you've got your Rooneys and your Henrys, your Shearers, going back a bit further, Paul Scholes, the Ryan Giggses, of this world. So yeah, it's there's been some marvellous players over the years, and it's just a great game that we play, isn't it? I mean, there's always somebody that's new on the scene, taking your breath away, and there's the past masters as well that are still playing their trade. So it's just a great game that we're involved in, and there's legends sort of everywhere you look in the Premier League and further afield.
I think that's why we enjoy the game. It's so surprising, and new players can kind of pop out of nowhere. We're in between two friendlies at the moment. There was a great result on Saturday against Spain. Do you think that England can progress past the group stages without a player like Rooney?
Yeah, I do. I think, well, we should be able to. I think, I don't want to be a bearer of bad news, but it's very difficult to judge, certainly in a friendly game. And we all know that whether we like it or not, England are always going to be judged when we go to the major tournaments. We sailed through qualifying for the World Cup to South Africa, and then look what happened. We've qualified really with ease for the next European Championships in Poland and Ukraine next June. But the test will be when we get there. I'm sure, as always with an England team, expectations are going to be huge. And I'm as guilty as that as anyone. We've both played in England teams that have gone to tournaments and have been expected to do better. There's various reasons why we haven't. But yes, we can look at the Spain game, and yes, we've done very, very well, and the signs are encouraging with a lot of the young guys coming through and playing very well. And tomorrow night might be no different. We might get a decent result against Sweden, albeit our past history against Sweden suggests that we won't. But the test will be come June. If we go there and we do well and we win it, then Fabio's reign would have been a huge success. If we don't, then he's been a huge disappointment.
You spoke just there about the youngsters coming through. Obviously, there's a space to fill for the first few games. There's guys like Danny Welbeck, Dean Sturridge, Andy Carroll. Do you think any of those guys can kind of do the job well as Rooney, to be honest, to carry England through?
Well, yeah, of course there's going to be players that are going to be capable of winning games, of scoring goals at international level. There's players out there that have proved that. I mean, you look at someone like Peter Crouch has scored a lot of goals for England, has got a great record. Jermaine Defoe scored goals, Darren Bent scored goals. I mean, you'd like to think that we can qualify through the group stage without our talisman in many ways, so as Alan said, I'm confident that we can qualify. And then hopefully we'll have Wayne back for the later stages, and you know he'll certainly be revved up and waiting to go if we did qualify. So yeah, it's I mean, I don't think anyone's got any doubts. There's people that can come in and score goals, and as much as Wayne would be one of our best players and not our best player, I think we've still got enough about our squad.
Michael, you're still playing for Man United, and obviously they've recently come off that crazy defeat to Man City. Do you feel like, well, they're obviously getting stronger as a side, do you guys see them as a threat? Do you think they can go all the way to win the title this season?
Well, I think everyone thinks that they're certainly a force to be reckoned with this year. After all, they're top of the league at the moment, playing great, probably playing as well as they've done in years, and yeah, they beat us quite well in the league the other day. I mean, there was people watched the game, and obviously we lost a man and we were at home, and having to go forward, or we felt we had to go forward because we were at home wanting to get a result. So there was a few reasons why, but they certainly deserved to win that game. It was only a few weeks earlier that we played really well and beat them in the Charity Shield, and everyone was sort of taking a back step and thinking, oh, might be a year too soon for Man City. So it just shows you how quickly things can change, and they're playing great at the minute, but as Alan said before, confidence is a big thing. They're on a crest of a wave at the minute, and but every team will go through a sticky patch at some point, and we're still early on in the season, so we'll see what's happening sort of after Christmas and then start forming opinions. But there's no doubt about it, they're a force to be reckoned with.
Got to say, as an Arsenal fan, it's the first time I've been back in Man United to win the title. Last question, and very quickly, who do you reckon's going to get it this season?
I think it will be between the two Manchester clubs. I said at the beginning of the season, I think Man United will win it because of their experience. Yes, I know they took a pounding at home to Man City, but on the day that can happen to anyone. And I think with the experience of Manchester United, with the experience of Alex and the players in there, and then I would have to still say, come the end of the season and come February, March, which is notoriously known as that time when they have a final kick on. So yeah, I would still say, despite Man City's impressive start, I would still have to say Man United.
And Michael, are you allowed to back anyone other than Man United?
Do you expect me to say this? Well, I'd like to think everything that Alan said is proved correct. So yeah, I mean, Man United over the years, obviously before I was a player there, have always gone on great runs towards the end of the season and pulled out the fire in many ways. But I mean, again, we're so early on. I think there's only 5 points difference or something. So there's a long way, and a lot of football to be played. So yeah, just confident in our team. We've got a manager that's been there, seen it and done it, and most of the lads as well. So and a big squad as well. We've got. I mean, I know Man City have got a big squad, but we've got a big squad to cope with. Playing in a lot of competitions and whatnot. So I mean, yeah, we're still confident, and it'll be a tough challenge. There's Chelsea and Arsenal and Liverpool in there as well, Tottenham. But I think Man City will be the biggest challenges. But as I say, long way to go.
Got to say, I'm glad to see you saying Arsenal is still a challenge. Anyway, that's it. We finished. That was Shearer Michael Owen giving us some words of wisdom.
Footballexclusives.co.uk. Follow us on Twitter